Welcome. I'm so grateful you're here to join me on this journey inward. We're about to explore the very system that shapes how we experience the world around us. In this explainer, we're going to shine a light on something we all live with, but very few of us truly understand: the layer of personality. We're going to approach it not as some great mystery, but as a beautiful, intricate system that we can absolutely learn to navigate.
And that really brings us to the core question I want you to hold in your mind as we go through this. Are you just a passenger being carried along by your moods, your automatic reactions, your wants, and your fears? Or are you the one at the wheel, consciously and intentionally steering your own inner world? Honestly, the answer to that question can change everything. So here's the map for our journey today. We'll start with a blueprint of you. Then we'll dive into the 16 inner natures that make you up and discover the two master controls. We'll see exactly how your reactions emerge. And then, the best part, we'll open up a toolkit for mastery so you can move beyond reaction and find your true self. Let's begin. To get started, we really need a new way of looking at this. See, our personality isn't some chaotic, unpredictable thing. It's a system. It's an internal technology that runs on a very clear, predictable set of rules. And once you understand those rules, well, that's when you can start to work with them. I want you to think of it like this. Your personality is a highly advanced, complex vehicle that you've been given to navigate this life. The crucial thing to realize is it is not who you are. It's the mechanism you use. And just like with any vehicle, you can let it run on autopilot, or you can learn how to drive it with real skill, with real intention. So, what's this vehicle actually made of? What's under the hood? Well, this whole system is made up of 16 fundamental parts, or as we'll call them, natures. You can think of them as the engine parts, the electrical wiring, the dashboard lights, the whole shebang. We're about to map out these 16 core natures, known as Tang in the original teachings. The reason this is so important is that it gives us a clear, precise vocabulary to talk about what's happening inside. We can move from just vague feelings to a really clear understanding. Okay, so this table basically organizes our entire inner world into three main categories. On the left, you've got your core functions. That's how we receive information, think about it, act on it, and understand it. In the middle, these are the five desires that really power us: the drive for wealth, appearance, fame, food, and rest. And on the right, you have our emotional polarities, the whole spectrum of feelings, from greed and anger to delusion and wisdom. Every single reaction you have is built from these components. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 16 components sounds like a lot to manage. But here is the most important part of this entire system. Within all of that complexity, only two of these natures are actually in charge. They're the ones driving the car. That's right. If you can understand and learn to work with just these two, you gain leverage over the entire system. All the other 14 natures, well, they essentially take their marching orders from these two master controls. They are the source code of your personality. And here they are: Tam, which is desire, and Dung, which is thought. Desire is the engine of your vehicle. It's the raw power, the wanting, the pure energy that moves you forward. And thought? Thought is the navigator. It's your internal GPS, using memories of the past and imagination about the future to set a course. This pair right here, the engine of desire and the navigator of thought, is steering your entire being, whether you know it or not. So now that we know who the drivers are, we can finally understand the mechanism behind our automatic emotional reactions. Why do you feel amazing one moment and then totally frustrated the next? It's not random. It's a direct result of how these two master controls are working. The logic behind it is actually incredibly simple and predictable. Every single piece of information you take in is instantly compared against what you want, against your desires and thoughts. If that message lines up with what you want, the system generates a positive feeling. If it clashes, if it conflicts with what you want, it generates a negative one. Simple as that. So let's just define it clearly. An emotional reaction is simply the inner experience that gets created when the outside world passes through the filter of your personal desire and thought. It's an automated output based on an internal program. But that word automated is the key, because anything that's automated can be switched over to manual control. And that brings us to the most empowering part of our time together. We've looked at the theory, which is great, but now let's get practical. We're going to explore a few simple but really powerful techniques to shift from being at the mercy of this automatic system to becoming its conscious driver. It's time to take the wheel. Our very first tool is a simple forward mantra. The second you feel an emotional reaction starting to bubble up, you know that feeling, the heat of anger, the pang of disappointment, you internally and silently just say to yourself, Buông, dừng, thôi, dứt. Let go, stop, cease, end. Now, this isn't about suppressing the feeling. It's about interrupting the runaway train of thought that fuels the feeling. It's about creating a moment of pause. And in that pause, something incredible happens. You get a glimpse of a state called Tánh Hung. This is a space of pure, silent awareness, where you are just observing without sticking labels on everything, like good or bad, right or wrong. It's a moment of deep, inner stillness. And you know what? This is your natural state, and it is always there, waiting just beneath the noise. All right, let's look at another powerful technique. Imagine someone says this to you. Your desire and thought immediately latch onto that meaning, and you feel that rush of pleasure, right? Now, imagine someone says this. Same thing happens. Your desire and thought grab the meaning, and you feel that sting of anger or hurt. The reaction feels instantaneous, totally automatic. But here's the practice. Learn to separate the meaning from the sound. Now, on the level of meaning, sure, these words are polar opposites. They trigger powerful reactions. But on the level of just pure physical reality, they're both just vibrations in the air, neutral sound waves. When you practice hearing both compliments and insults as just sound first, before your mind slaps a meaning onto them, you disarm them. You take away their power to control your inner state. So the whole point here is that we are fundamentally changing the internal order of operations. The automatic, untrained response is react, then think. The conscious, masterful process is perceive, balance, and then respond. You receive the information with that calm, true awareness first. You find your balance in that sacred pause. And only then do you consciously choose to let your personality, your thoughts, your analysis engage with what's happening. This all leads us to our final and maybe most profound shift in understanding. It's really about redefining who you believe you are at your core. Please, just take a moment and let this one sink in. You are not your anger. You are not your anxiety. You aren't even your joy. Those are experiences happening inside the vehicle of your personality. You are the silent, spacious awareness that witnesses it all. You are the driver who can look at the dashboard signals and consciously choose where to steer. And so I leave you with this. That space we've been talking about, that pause, that moment of stillness, that gap between the trigger and the reaction, that is your point of power. That is where your freedom lives. The only question is, what will you create in it? Thank you for joining me today. Mastering our inner world is a beautiful, ongoing path, and it is the most rewarding one we can walk. If you found value here, please subscribe so you don't miss the next steps on our journey together.